Today, we're going to be reviewing PetSmart's Ball Python Care Guide. How we set up an enclosure versus how they would set up an enclosure.
Have sex, they said. It'll be fun, they said. I think she might have been impacted.
Oh my god!
So Winston is our 2-year-old. What is he?
Bamboo Mojave.
He's a Bamboo Mojave Blue-Eyed Lucy Complex ball python. He is a male, and he is probably our most social ball python. And by social, I mean he loves to come out and be held and be handled and explore. And he's a little annoyed tonight because typically we feed on Tuesday nights. Today's not Tuesday. Typically we feed on Monday nights, but we're gonna feed on a Tuesday night because somebody forgot to take out rats. So
Wasn't me.
if you know us, you know that we feed primarily through frozen thawed unless we have somebody who won't eat, and then we will try alive. This is gonna hang out with us for this episode of our channel and show us around his house. So let's get to the care guide and let's get to showing you how we would do it differently. Alright, so first things first, you can get these at most PetSmarts. And just a disclaimer, we don't hate PetSmart. So while we don't necessarily promote getting animals from PetSmart, as a lot of the times some of it is kind of questionable where, you know, they get their animals from. Is it like a puppy mill situation? Since I don't know the breeder, I can't get in contact with the breeder exactly, like face to face with them. I don't want to support something that I don't know. And while I do love PetSmart, their care for dogs and cats and other animals is great.
And they are doing better with the reptile stuff.
They are doing better. And don't get me wrong, they're doing much better with the reptile stuff. They have a long way to go. They're still selling products in their store which are harmful to reptiles, and that is something that, you know, that's not okay. So while...
But again, it's not the people who are working at the store that are that create the
issue.
The issue. I wouldn't say issue. I would say more of
It's definitely an issue.
The controversy. It's the CEOs and the people who are prepping the business.
It's the people who don't really know anything about animals who are just like, oh yeah, sell this product.
Yes, and they need to go out and investigate and know what they're selling to the breeders. I mean, not breeders, but
they need
the
to
small
get
time
somebody who
predator.
knows reptiles, like kind of like Chewy did with Wicked's Wicked Reptiles. So that being said,
Oh, he's gonna leave you.
I know he's gonna leave me. We love them for things like our dog and our cat care. We do like that they have things like, you know, Arctic mice. We can get them if you don't have any other feeders for your animal. I'm not saying that the Arctic mice are going to be the best feeder, but at the same time, it is there for somebody if they need it in a pinch. But as always, this care guide is going to be our opinion. And while, like I said, we love PetSmart, especially our local PetSmart, we are not in any way, shape, or form trying to dog on PetSmart. We're just going to use our knowledge. We have 10 plus ball pythons at this point to see how this reflects with our keeping and our research. All right, so starting off, dazzling and docile. That is true. So it says they get their name because they curl into a tight ball with their heads pulled into the center. If they're nervous, they do come from Africa. And they are called royal pythons because African rulers wore them as jewelry. Fun fact, I just watched Dave Kaufman's ball python video, and there's a whole village in Benin, I can't remember the name of the city, but the village or city, whatever you want to call it, in Africa actually worship ball pythons. They believe that they're one of their gods, which I thought was really interesting. So that's really cool. So it's nice that they have a little chunk of good information right there. So they live in burrows, typically in Africa. I learned that last night. They can be found in trees and termite mounds, but here in the United States and Europe and everywhere else, we keep them in these lovely enclosures, right? So it says that their experience level is an intermediate, and that I agree with. I do not think that ball pythons should be considered a beginner pet. And I don't think that they should be considered beginner because the humidity requirements that they need is something that it takes a while to you know, kind of finagle and to get. And come here, buddy. And if you don't know how to maintain humidity,
Winnie.
then you should not have a ball python.
Winston.
So they grow up to about 5 feet. That is true. Ball pythons can live 30 years. I believe that they can live longer than 30 years. I believe that they can live anywhere between 30 and 45 years. So that's accurate. Diet. Ball pythons are carnivores and feed on rodents. That is true. So they also will eat things like small birds in the wild. But here, a rat, a frozen thawed rat, is going to be the best and most, what is the word I'm trying to say here?
Nutritious.
The best and most nutritious. It's going to be a whole food. It's going to give them everything that they need as a diet. So Winston was getting a little antsy. He typically is held by Mallory, so I grabbed our little baby girl, Cora. You can see the size difference. So Cora is going to be she's a juvenile ball python, and she will get to the size of Winston. Eventually, she'll get bigger than Winston. But that being said, they're very chill animals. They just kind of sit there. Some people call them a pet rock. But if you just want a snake that you're going to be able to hold and to handle, that's not going to move around a lot, that's not going to be very flighty, then ball pythons are the best choice in my opinion.
Personalities matter.
So, then this says that ball pythons are more active at night. That's true. They're crepuscular, so they're going to be more active at dawn and dusk. We typically will feed ours right after the lights go out, and you can see everybody, like, you see little heads everywhere. Going on to the next subject, it has a little terrarium set up, and I immediately hate it. I absolutely immediately hate that.
It definitely doesn't reflect the actual size it needs to be.
Terrarium, yes. Screened lid. If you can stay away from a screened lid, yes, stay away from it. If you can't, like we love dubia enclosures. We put a piece of acrylic or plexiglass or
corrugated
plastic on top to help hold the humidity.
Versus some of our other ones.
If you can find a all PVC enclosure, your humidity levels are going to stay a lot higher. You're going to have to fix the humidity a lot less often. Daytime bulb and fixture, heat lamp and bulb, yes, yes, yes. Thermometer, yes. You also need a hydrometer, yes. Reptile carpet, no, never reptile carpet. Never, 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 never. Reptile carpet, we're gonna have a whole video about our favorite uses for reptile carpet coming out sometime this year. Check it out because it's going to be a good one. Never use reptile carpet. Not only can it harm especially your lizards, like if you have a beardy or a leopard gecko that have nails, it can harm them by pulling out their nails, but it also harbors bacteria like nothing else. Large water dish, hide. So yes, yes, hydrometer, thermometer, plants and decor, basking site underneath heat lamp. Those all I agree with. But I would say you want to have more hides than just one. You need at minimum 2, if not more. On to temperatures. So it says daytime temperature on the cool side, 80 to 85. I disagree with that. I'm gonna say anywhere between 75 and 85 on the cool end. Warm end, you should have a warm side ambient temp of 85 to 90 and a basking spot of 95. So this, if you look at it, it says 80 to 85, daytime temperature 90, 70 to 80 on nighttime temperature, and 30 to 50, no. 30 to 50% humidity is absolutely incorrect. So if you watch Dave Kaufman's video, and I'm going to promote that because it was a fantastically well done video about ball pythons in the wild, he sticks a thermometer, hydrometer in a burrow where these guys live, and it reads 90% humidity almost every single time, and anywhere between, I think the lowest was like 84 to 95%, or not percent, but 84 to 95 degrees. If you watch the Dave Kaufman's ball python movie, he sticks a temperature humidity probe inside their burrows where they typically can be found, and I believe most of the time the humidity was about 90 degrees. 90% humidity. This says 30 to 50. That is absolutely incorrect. And you know what happens if you don't have the right humidity for your ball pythons for more than just a little while? Like holding them out here is for, an hour or so. It's not going to hurt them at all. Their enclosure needs to be anywhere between 60 and 80% ambient humidity at all times. Anything higher than that is okay for a little while, but you don't want your substrate to be completely soaking wet wet constantly, because that's a good way for you to get scale rot on your ball python's bellies.
And
you can also get respiratory infections.
Yes.
So if you don't have the right humidity, you're also going to get respiratory infections to your ball pythons. You're also going to put them at risk of having really bad sheds, which can lead to them having eye caps and other issues like that. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you watch multiple different videos, especially more than just me. You're going to want to watch things like Snake Discovery, you're going to watch Jeff Kaufman, you're going to want to watch Wicked Reptiles, you're going to want to watch Brian Barr. Everybody, do your research. Watch as much YouTube about reptiles and snakes as you can, and do as much research online as you can. Reddit's a really good source. Facebook groups are a really great source. Just do as much research you can and find out what works best for you and for your pet. All right, so next thing on the list is it says, how do I set up a ball python terrarium? And it said they should live alone. Absolutely. You should never house more than one ball python together.
Come back down to the south.
You should have one
Draw.
in a terrarium is if you are breeding them. And you should do that responsibly. You shouldn't just breed your ball pythons because you have 2 ball pythons.
Yep.
Be responsible about it. But it says a 40-gallon. I would say a 40-gallon is good for somebody this size. Winston is in a 4x2x2. And while this would be perfectly okay for Cora, if you just want to buy one and be done with buying terrariums for your animal, buy one. Buy the 4x2x2. Don't get the 36 one, because this is going to be more cost effective in the long run. If you have a really large female and they look uncomfortable, their size looks uncomfortable to you and their enclosure, maybe you should get them a 6x2x2. So on to the next thing. It says to line the terrarium with reptile carpet. We've already talked about that. Don't do it. And or
She's trying to explore
2 inches of reptile bedding. Remove droppings frequently and change bedding monthly. I like that. I do agree with that. You should change your bedding often, especially if you don't have a bioactive enclosure. Most of our enclosures are bioactive, with the exception of the active plants, because our ball pythons like to smash plants because they are a heavy body snake. More than 2 inches is probably what you need. I would say you need at least 4 inches of substrate. His is kind of piled towards the back, so this is a little bit, it's kind of like arched back. So that way your cleanup crew, your spring tail, and your isopods can have the adequate space that they need. Never, ever, ever use aspen on ball pythons. It's not enough humidity. So under here, he has a hide and a humidity hide. Oh, I think you have a shed.
Yeah, I know. He just shed, I guess.
Beautiful. And that is just moist sphagnum moss that we change about once a month or so.
So he must have shed within the last, couple days.
Anyway, so it says to add a daytime heat source and over the habitat to provide warmth. Turn it off for 12 hours at night. We have a DHP, which stays on most of the time, unless it gets really hot in here, and then we turn them off.
We do monitor it during the summer.
Yes, and we do have anywhere between a 78 and 95 temperature gradient in their enclosures. Alright, so the next thing it says have a daytime heat bulb. You can use a heat bulb, you can use a DHP, whatever you want. Just make sure you have that gradient from about 78 to about 85 with a basking spot about 95 underneath your heat source. Add 2 thermometers, one at the end of the side. So make sure you have at least 1 hydrometer thermometer in your enclosure. You should have 2 one on each side. And then it says to have 2 hides. Good. So it only shows 1 over here on this picture here, but it says 2. 1 on the warm side, 1 on the cool side. You want to use sphagnum moss as bedding in the warm hide hut to keep it damp and create a humidity hut. I like it. So our humidity huts, hides, they double as a hide and then a humidity hide. So the ball pythons, there's a hole in it, so they can go on the top of the box here. We have a hole cut into the top. They can sit over here, or they can go down below where it's humid.
Now we're trying to simulate as much as we can to real life nature events for them.
It says stock the tank with branches for hiding and climbing. Yes. It says mist your ball python and habitat to maintain humidity, fogger, whatever. I don't think you should use a mister or a fogger. You should be spraying your substrate directly. How we do it, we use a hose attached to our shower, and we will get a bunch of water in the substrate, where it will go and it will soak through all the substrate, and it will maintain a humidity gradient. We also will spray the leaves and the clutter and whatnot as if it was raining. Just for those of you who are wondering, Winston's on the camera right now.
I can't. I need
Mallory
to.
is holding the.
There's
holding the
cameras
camera.
right there. Oh my god.
Let's see if I can do this one-handed. This is what I'm seeing right now. Winston is helping Mallory.
He's so happy.
He's
so
so content with himself.
Yes, he is.
Then it says for more information, consult PetSmart. I would say for more information, do your research. There are thousands of people out there. What should I feed my ball python? It says rodents, and they do recommend frozen thawed, and I love that. It also says snakes should be offered food at night. Yep, adults may not feed for several weeks at a time, and a dish of water should be in there for them fresh daily. Yes, you should be able to, your ball python should be able to fit themselves either underneath their bowl of water where they can get nice and cool, or in their water bowl. Ours typically don't submerge themselves.
I think we have one that likes it, and I think that one is Nibbins.
Yeah, I would say she's like the only one. They typically are found more often in their humidity hide or underneath their warm side hide is where we find ours. When should I contact a veterinarian? Runny droppings, eating or drinking less, eat weight less, discharge from the eyes, nose, and mouth. That's a big one. So if you see bubbles around your ball python's nose or mouth, or you see them yawning a lot and having a lot of excess spit, that's usually indicative of a upper respiratory infection, and that needs a vet right away. There's a link I'll put in the description that you can look up the closest reptile vet to you. So yes, let's see, shedding problems, discolored skin, avoidance of the basking area, more time spent hiding. I wouldn't necessarily that. Just check your husbandry. If your temperature and humidity are off, your snake will not eat. Your snake will hide. Your snake will be miserable. So make sure that all of your humidity and your heat sources are on point, and that you have lots of clutter and hides. The more clutter, the more you'll see your ball python. Ball pythons will go on hunger strikes, and typically when your ball python goes on a hunger strike, if it's not a breeding response, they're not ruminating. They don't rumate like bearded dragons do. It's because something's wrong with your husbandry. So, shopping list. It says 40-gallon terrarium or larger. We recommend nothing smaller than a 40-gallon for somebody this size. Once she starts to grow, and once we are moving reptile rooms later on this year, she will be in a 4x2x2. Secured screen lid. Yes, if you can do a PVC, all PVC enclosure, they are better at holding in humidity than screen lids are. Daytime bulb and under tank heat. I don't like under tank heat mats. They don't give the right proper type of heat that the ball pythons need. So you're going to want to use something like a basking bulb or a DHP. You can also use radiant heat panels. They're a little bit more expensive, but they are a good source as well that give the proper type of heat. Habitat thermometers and hydrometers, yes. Water bowl large enough for a snake to soak in, yes. Artificial natural rock and wood hides, yes. You can use, we like these VE, these black hides that are in
I think they're called VE electronic hides.
Yeah, they're VE electronic hides. They are made for snakes, and they're great. I mean, they're easy to clean, but everything, yeah.
Most importantly, you want to make sure any heat source that you have is on a digital thermometer that can track the heat, which is what I just showed you here. This is one of the digital heat thermometers that we can track the temperature and make sure that it doesn't get too hot in this enclosure for him.
So this big one I have a big problem with. Aspen, cocoa fiber, reptile carpet, or bedding. Reptile bedding, absolutely not. The cheapest substrate that you can make if you just go to Lowe's or Home Depot, you get a bag of topsoil, you get a bag of play sand, and you get a bag of sphagnum moss. All three of those things can be found at Home Depot for probably less than $25, maybe more in this economy. But you just take those, you mix it up, and mix it up after you've baked or frozen your soil. That's it. That's all you gotta do.
And then you can just, once it comes out of the oven, you mix in your sand, you mix in your sphagnum moss, and you can just stir it all together while it's cooling off. Boom, bada bing, you can toss it in here, moisturize it, make sure it's cool enough to the touch, and then you can put your animal in it.
Or you can go to thebiodude.com. You can get some of his, I think it's Terra Firma.
Link right here.
Of what it is. You could use that. You could use cocoa blocks. You could use Reptichip. All of those things are really good, but stay away from aspen and reptile carpet. Absolutely never use those. you don't really need a food bowl per se for a ball python. You're gonna want tongs though. Frozen rodents and feeding tongs. All in all, this is all right.
I'd give it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
I think that whoever's writing this is still going off of old information.
Yeah, it's from 2020. So they do, you know, they do have some work to do. They have some opportunities to make this better. But at the same time, you know, every day reptile care is changing. So what this video says right now might not be relevant next year. We might find something out completely different. I doubt it when it comes to ball pythons, but at the same time, you never know. So anyway, thank you for watching Stafford Exotics. This is Cora, our little banana girl. And we really appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with us. And we really hope that you like and subscribe, do all those other YouTube-y things, and come back and check us out next time where I think, are gonna have a breeding plans video for you. That being said, thanks for watching. We hope you liked the video. If you did like the video, please like the video. Share with your friends, subscribe, do all of those things, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.